Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 26th of June 2022. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, no London shopping trip yesterday. That's been postponed to, it's definitely next Saturday, 2nd of July. And I'm pretty sure from what I've seen that it's meeting at 1 p.m. in Hyde Park at the Speaker's Corner end of that. So I'm going, and if you are, I'll see you there. It kind of reminds me that this time last year, late June 2021, was the biggest London shopping trip ever. They were gradually growing in number all the way from March last year through to June, and I would say the high watermark was last June. It was absolutely epic, and I was I'm proud to say I was there and I was part of it. But I think it's still important to keep the pressure up because I saw this week that the EU Parliament has just renewed the kind of lurgy passports and the lurgy powers for another year. And you have to ask yourself why. I'll leave you to come to your own conclusions on that, but it's definitely not about health, is it? And the thought I'm going to really pursue for the rest of this video is my shock and disappointment over the last 2.5 years. One of the biggest ones has been just how readily people, all kinds of people, have embraced authoritarianism and tyranny. Prior to that, I thought we were all, or most people in the Western world, were on the same page. After all, we kind of all grew up with the fact that we'd fought a huge war and then endured a very long Cold War fighting against tyranny, and that it definitely would never happen, in the Western world. So I was very shocked when I saw how governments and these petty little tyrants, the likes of Sturgeon, Drakeford, Dan Andrews, Jacinda Ardern, Macron, Johnson here in this country and his cronies, and so many of the others have just delighted in bringing in all the coercion and keeping them going as long as possible when they knew full well that the threat didn't justify their actions. And then we of course have all the more ordinary people out there who again embraced it so readily, very keen to snap their heels together and start following orders, weren't they? Obeying, not only obeying, but enforcing all of the restrictions. We all remember the times when we went into shops to have sort of people freaking out if you're sort of transgressing any of the rules by one iota, weren't they? They were sort of, I remember going into like a builder's yard type place, which is crazy when you think they're kind of fit young lads for the most part, working outdoors all the time, sort of heavy physical jobs. Builders yards and timber yards, they were sort of among the worst, sort of the most eager, the lurgy sort of fascists of all of them. So I couldn't believe it. I remember one guy, I sort of wandered into the yard and he said, no, you can't come into the yard, you've got to sort of stay by the fence until I come and come and get you. I'm serving this other person. And oh dear, we won't go there anymore, but these people were just horrendous. And then we have all the people who were only too eager to report you to the the authorities if you had too many people coming around to your house, if you were sort of going out too many times during the day and what have you. Thankfully I didn't have too much of that around here, but I know plenty of people did, and plenty of people got into hot water. We had all the petty little council officials who went round to shops who refused to close and were imposing fines with great delight and glee. And I was just so shocked by it. Yeah, all these people who kind of were so ready to embrace, as I say, embrace tyranny. It's one of the things that has disappointed me the most, I've got to say. And I'll finish these thoughts with just reflecting on a meme I saw some time ago, probably about 9 months to a year ago. I first came across this. And how did it go? It's something along the lines of, if you ever wondered what you would have done in the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany, you are doing it right now. So if you were sort of grassing up your neighbours to the police, etc., you'd have been the type of person sort of grassing people up to the Gestapo or the KGB. If you were kind of just doing nothing, you'd have been one of the acquiescers. And if you were doing renegade stuff like watching the likes of me and posting and speaking out and going on demonstrations and things, well, I think you can give yourselves a pat on the back. Fortunately, the situation isn't quite, or wasn't quite as dire here. You weren't arrested and tortured and thrown into a gulag or a concentration camp. But had we let things slip further than what they did, I think that may well have come about. And it's only because of the likes of you standing up to this, going on these marches, you know, especially the big ones this time last year, and the fact that the resistance and the marches and all the rest of it is continuing, that we have kept a nightmare future at bay. So yeah, give yourself a pat on the back for that. And I'll leave it. I'm just going to the stand in the park now. I'm running a bit late for that, so I better get my skates on. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.